A Good Man is Hard to Find by Flannery O'Connor, written in 1953. Flannery O'Connor is a Southern writer who often wrote in Southern Gothic style. She often used grotesque characters. Her writings typically reflected her Catholic faith and often questioned morals and ethics. The characters presented in the story are the grandmother, Bailey, who is her son, John Wesley, her grandson, June Starr, her granddaughter, Bailey's wife and their baby, Red Sammy Butts, the Tower Station owner, and the escaped criminals, the misfit, Bobby Lee, and Hiram. The story starts with the family going on a trip to Florida. The grandmother does not want to go to Florida, but rather East Tennessee to visit old connections. She is seen trying to change Bailey's mind early in the story, citing things like the children have already been to Florida and that the escaped criminal, the misfit, is said to be heading towards Florida. She tells her son she wouldn't take her family in the same direction as the escaped criminal. The grandmother is unable to change her son's mind, and the next morning they leave for Florida. She is seated between her two grandchildren who she feels are disrespectful. They stop at a filling station and we meet Red Sammy Butts, the man who runs it. The grandmother and Butts are seen discussing better times. They both feel that Europe was to blame for the changing times. After they leave the filling station, the grandmother wakes up from a nap and decides she wants to visit an old plantation she recalled. Her son Bailey did not want to make the detour, but the grandmother continues to convince them by talking of secret passages, which eventually gets the children excited, who then nag their dad to take them there, and he does to get them to quiet down. After driving down a dirt road for some time, the grandmother makes an embarrassing discovery, which causes her to jump, and causes her cat that she has hidden to jump on Bailey's back, which causes him to swerve his car. The car overturns and lands in a gulch. They are now gathering themselves after the wreck when we see the black hearse-like car coming slowly towards them. Three men exit the car with guns. The grandmother has a feeling she knows one of the men. She eventually blurts out, "You are the misfit," saying she would recognize him anywhere. To which he replies, "It would have been better for all of you, lady, if you hadn't recognized me." The escaped criminals gather the family up and eventually take Bailey away and John Wesley. Two gunshots are heard, and the grandmother is starting to realize the trouble that they are in. She tries to convince the misfit that he is a good man and starts discussing religion with him. Bobby Lee and Hiram take the mother, baby, and June Starr into the same area they took the others, and three more gunshots are heard. The grandmother continues talking to the misfit. His voice seems like it cracks some, and the grandmother tells him that he is one of her children, to which the misfit responds by shooting the grandmother 3 times in the chest. Bobby Lee pokes fun at the killings, calling them fun, to which the misfit responds, "It's no real pleasure in life." In the story, we see the protagonist, who is the grandmother. She believes she is a good person. However, we see in the story her constant judgment towards others. She is dressed in her finest clothes to go on a trip, for she fears if anyone saw her dead, they would know she is a lady. The antagonist, or the misfit, who is the villain of the story, the escaped criminal who is calling the shots. He eventually has the grandmother's family murdered and eventually murders her himself. We also see the theme of good versus evil in the story. The grandma believes she has a sense of good. Her sense of good is people of good blood who are respectful and are good people, all of which are very superficial. While the misfit knows he is evil, he does not feel guilt for the things he has done and takes no pleasure in life. He does not believe he is the worst in the world either. The grandmother tries to convince the misfit that he is a good person because he comes from good blood and is respectful.